Hey, I'm Tyler. I'm just here to talk to you all about our governance app here at Kula. This is a huge part of our structure as an impact investment vehicle, because without the ability for the community to have a say in how we operate, we're not really transparent and we're not really an impact investment vehicle. This is done through our governance application, and through this, we can vote on proposals. Community can create proposals. We can record a registry of all the activities we do as a DAO. We can read through people's proposals that they might have for how Kula should operate. And you can use your tokens, your Kula tokens, to exercise your voice within the ecosystem. There's a few things that Kula isn't. One of those is this isn't a chat application right now. This is simply a governance application. So we're not like a Discord or anything like that. And this isn't just a free-for-all DAO. We have a lot of structures in place to make sure that the proposals that are coming through to y'all are actually of merit and things that we think will actually push the Kula ecosystem forward as we're working to create shared value with our partners. So the Kula Governance App can be accessed in any browser, almost, not Safari, but any browser through gov.kula.com. You want to verify that URL when you head there. But gov.kula.com is your gateway for all things Kula. Once you get to gov.kula.com, you'll have the opportunity to connect your wallet. I'm just going to demonstrate that real quickly here. So I've just entered our website, gov.kula.com. And from here, we can hit connect in the top right. And you can see all the different options we have for wallets. So if you've got a wallet, connect wallet, you can connect that. We support Rabby. We support 570 plus wallets here. We haven't tested all of them, so there's no guarantee that your specific wallet's going to work great if it's something, very niche. But for something like MetaMask, we have a very clean connection process. So you just hit MetaMask. From there, we have the option to connect our wallet. I got an AMA wallet here. I'm going to hit connect. And we're there. So here's my AMA DAO membership. Got 150,000 test tokens on there. Not real money, but for our purposes, this is for testing. And from there, you're connected. And you can start taking part in your governance. So voting is done on a wallet by wallet basis. So you have, one wallet, you can vote one time. Your one vote might hold a certain amount of weight depending on how many tokens you have, but it's one wallet, one vote. You vote, and that is recorded on chain forever. So how voting works, and I talked a little bit about how depending on how many credits, on how many tokens you have, you'll have a different amount of voting weight. Let me jump back over here to my Kula wallet, and I've got 30 tokens, and we use a voting structure called quadratic voting at Kula, where basically the amount of tokens that you have equals the amount of votes you then have is the square root of that amount of tokens. So for example, if you have one token, that's one vote. If you have two tokens, that's 1.4 votes. And it kind of goes up from there. If you have 10 tokens, it's 3.16. 10,000 tokens is going to be 100 votes. Basically, the reason we do this is the more tokens you have, the more voting power you should have. However, we want to be able to defend against, some whale coming out there with, 1 million tokens and being able to do whatever they want. If you have a lot of tokens, you are going to have a lot of power, but it's going to be dampened a little bit through quadratic voting to kind of even the playing field a little bit there. So again, the more Kula token you have, the more votes you can cast. So, with 30 tokens, I've got 5 votes that I can cast. And by 5 votes, it means when I vote one time, it has a power of 5, if that makes sense. So again, more tokens, more influence, but because of quadratic voting, we try to limit people from gaming the system too much. All right. Another thing about voting is once you have placed a vote, it's final. So let's go ahead and look at something I voted on. I voted on this proposal right here that we had. This was a marketing initiative for NZ Motors. I voted yes on it. It looks like it went through pretty dramatically, had 920 votes, and it was executed. But once I casted that vote, it can't be taken back. So all votes are final and recorded on chain. And again, everything is on chain. So if I was to look at this transaction right here on Snowtrace, I can see all of the details about the specific proposal, the votes cast on it, and everything in a permanent ledger, right? So that's part of the transparency of Kula. So let's move on here a little bit. An important part of your Kula experience, before you begin voting, there's a step you have to take, which is that you have to activate your voting power. So this is that wallet that I just connected. I've just connected for the first time. I've never used the Kula app before, and I'm interested in governance. I can see there's 4 active proposals right now. I haven't voted on any of these. I'm excited to start voting because I love creating shared value. It's like my favorite thing to do. So I come in here and, I need to activate my voting power to vote. This is a simple one-step process. You go to your account, voting power, and you have to activate your voting power. This is a step that's mandatory before you can begin using the governance. So it's just a one-time transaction. You hit activate voting power. You'll get prompted for the transaction request here, hit confirm. Once your voting power has been activated, you're able to take part in governance. So if I were to come to a proposal that I haven't voted on yet, so these 2 I voted yes on this one, I voted no on this one. With an active voting power, we're now able to cast a vote. So I'll do that right now. And again, it's final once it's been vote cast. Let's see here. Refresh. Yep, there we go. We voted yes on that. And looks like that one's going to go through. So the important thing to know about activating your voting power is this has to be done before you do any type of governance activity. And also, your voting power is when a proposal goes active where you can vote on it, your voting weight at the time of the proposal going active is what you have to vote on. So let me back up here. So say you had like 50 tokens and a proposal went up and you really want this proposal to pass. You can't go and buy 1 million tokens, even though that would be really nice if you did that. If you did that, your voting power would still be 50 because we take a snapshot when a proposal goes up. This is to prevent, another way to prevent, gaming the system. So that's just an important thing to remember. So say you activate your voting power and then you go vote on a proposal right away. If you activated your voting power after that proposal was created, you're not going to have the ability to vote with your full voting weight just because of the timing of that. The snapshot was taken before you activated your voting power. And so in this case, you wouldn't be able to use your full voting power until a new proposal is created that has your full voting power as the snapshot. Another important thing to know is you only need to activate your voting power a single time. Once you've activated your voting power, it'll dynamically change as your token balance changes. So say I sold off some of these tokens, my voting power would go down. And if I bought more tokens, it would go up. And there's no activity, there's nothing you need to do that. It happens dynamically. The only thing you have to do to get started with governance is activate your voting power. And activating your voting power doesn't affect your ability to transfer tokens or sell tokens or buy more tokens. It simply says that hey, I'm an active member of this community. And so now I'm ready to start governance. All right, that was a lot of information. I'm sure we're gonna have some questions about that at the end. So I'm excited to field those. All right, let's just go through a really quick overview of the app. So when I showed you earlier, this is our home screen when you first come on. We've got app help. So this will take you to a help Discord chat where you can talk with our awesome admins. They can help you figure things out if you're having trouble. We've got a governance page. This will just take you to our Kula Constitution. You can learn more about the details of how, proposing works, how governance works, all of that. We've got a link to our official Kula Discord. That is where all of the conversation surrounding proposals, how they're created, what we want to say in our proposals, all that conversation happens there. So you want to make sure that you join that. And this is just a network check. So you can click this just to double check what network you're on, all of that. All right, so that's our dashboard. Moving on, we showed you this earlier. This is our proposals view. Voting. Let me move over to our official Kula DAO because that's a better representation. Let's see here. There it is. So on our voting view, we've got, these are all proposals that were executed. Right now, there are no active proposals on Kula DAO. You could make that change by creating a proposal, but this is everything that has been executed recently. This is where you would go to vote, all that kind of stuff. We have a registry view. The registry view is going to show executed proposals, and it's also going to show defeated proposals. And this is just a permanent record of everything that we have agreed to do or decided not to do as a DAO. So that's an important page. And it's a good way to get up to speed on the DAO if you're just joining for the first time. All right. So let's go to a proposal, and we're going to talk a little bit about the proposal details. So actually, I want to go to let's go to these are all fun proposals, but I'll go to my favorite proposal, which is, this was the ratification of the Kula DAO Constitution. This was a big deal. This is when we first became a DAO. So from here, we've got a few different things you can look at. One is we have a link that'll take you to the transaction of the proposal when it was first created, if you want to get into the nitty gritty. We have a voting period. Every proposal has a vote start and a vote end time of 3 days. All right. So you can add that to your calendar. Say there's a proposal coming up. You want to make sure you vote on it. You can go to the voting period, add to calendar so you don't forget to come and vote. We've got a section down here, which this is our, this is what I voted. This is the total amount of votes. Everyone voted yes on this. As you can see, we had 1,055 votes, all yeses. No one voted no, so it must have been a really good proposal. I think Chris wrote it. Come down a little bit here, and we've got our proposal lifecycle map right here. So as you can see, we're all the way at executed, which is the terminal point for a proposal. When a proposal is first created, it goes from pending to active. So the pending to active phase, there's 3 days there. So proposal is first created, you'll see it. You can talk about it, decide what you want to vote. After 3 days, voting opens up. Users can vote on that proposal, take part in that governance. After 3 days, if the proposal is passed, then it goes into a succeeded state. From there, our executive team will queue the proposal for execution. The executives will vote, and then it will be executed. So that is the full timeline there. What's important that I want to talk about right now is quorum, because that's probably not something that we talk about on a day-to-day basis. So quorum is how we decide whether or not a proposal moves on to a succeeded state. You can think of quorum as basically a participation threshold in order to move a proposal forward. So say, so for our purposes, our quorum is set at 10% of active voters, right? So in order for a proposal to pass, we need 10% of the people who are active voters to come out and vote, right? If we don't hit that amount, it's not going to pass. Even if there's more yes votes than no votes, if not enough people participate, then it won't be passed, right? This is to prevent, say there's a proposal that like is kind of a junk proposal, and someone, really wants it to go through and they vote yes. If like there's one vote for yes and 0 votes for no, that'll still not go through just because it didn't reach the quorum. It's another one of our defense mechanisms we have against gaming the system. For a proposal to reach quorum, it actually has to be a worthwhile proposal that people actually vote on. If there's not enough activity, then it gets thrown out, it gets defeated. We'll talk more about that in the Q&A section. I'm sure there's going to be some questions about that. So basically, bottom line for quorum is it's not just a simple majority that wins. It has to be a majority, and then it also has to reach quorum. So basically, let's come back down to our timeline. We just talked about active, we reach quorum, and so we get succeeded. There's a governance phase that a proposal needs to go through with the executive team. Now, this is something that is not going to be visible to regular token holders. Regular token holders will be able to see when a proposal is in its queued state. But on the back end, the executive team is doing their discussion and their voting on a proposal. So after a proposal goes all the way through and it gets succeeded because it reached quorum and everyone voted yes, the executive team gets a chance to look over it. They have 2 weeks to do this, where they have to vote to defeat it or execute it, right? So that is a simple majority. Once the executives have got a majority yes or no, it will go into our executed or a defeated state. So if we go to our registry, all of these proposals, the executive team signed off on and have been executed. These defeated proposals right here, which these are just test proposals where we were running some tests early on, executive team voted no, and they were defeated. You can see here. So yeah, that's the life cycle. We can talk more about that in detail in the Q&A section. But yeah, that is how that works. Moving on to some common mistakes that a lot of people might run into using our app that we've kind of clocked recently is being connected to the wrong network. So the Kula DAO app runs on the Avalanche network. So say I was on the wrong network, like Ethereum or something, stuff just wouldn't work. You got to make sure that you're on Avalanche. And we have some guardrails in place to make sure that happens. When you connect for the first time, the app will automatically connect you to Fuji or to Avalanche. If that doesn't happen, if you're running into some issues, that is a good place to check. Check your wallet, make sure you're actually connected to the correct network. Another issue that might arise is if you're trying to vote on proposals and you're not able to for some reason, you want to make sure that your voting power is activated. And again, we have a lot of messages reminding you to do that, but make sure you are activating your voting power. Another potential issue that people might run into is if you vote on a proposal and your full voting power isn't recorded. That's usually because you activated your voting power after the proposal was created, in which case the snapshot was taken before you activated and you won't be able to use your full voting power until the next proposal is created. Some other reminders here is try to keep discussion around proposals in their threads on Discord. That is the main place the only place we do governance discussion. So, I mean, if it's important to keep that all centralized so that you can keep track of what people are saying and thinking about proposals as they're being created. And also, it's important to make sure you fully read proposals before voting. Some of them have a lot of details in them. But a part of being a responsible DAO participant is being educated on what you're voting on and voting yes or no on it, right? So reaching that quorum is important. Even if you're voting no, vote no. Don't just not vote yes, if that makes sense. So that is all of that. Yeah. So in closing here, as I'm wrapping up, we've strived to make this app as user-friendly as possible for people who haven't used Web3 tools before. No expertise are really needed getting on here, but we have plenty of help on Discord, as well as you can email us at, I think it's info at Kula.com or hello at Kula.com. One of those two. Grant will throw up a slide, and then we will know exactly what to do. But yeah, there's lots of help available to give you one-on-one support at any time. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got right now. And we can move on to some Q&A time. All right, so I am seeing an open question here. The question is, do I need to activate my voting power per proposal, or once I activate it, is it activated for the entire session of voting? Yeah, you only have to activate it one time, and then that activation follows you forever. So basically, you can think of activating your voting power as basically saying, hey, I'm ready to participate. And you only have to do that one time, and you're good to go. And that is a per wallet basis. So say you got a new wallet, you're going to have to activate your voting again, but just one time, and then you are good. Okay, I got a question here to talk about Timelock. So Timelock is the 2-week period at the end of a proposal's journey before it is executed, between queued and executed, where the proposal is not taking effect yet, but after anytime within that 2-week period, if it receives a majority of executive team yes votes, it will be executed and Timelock will end. If the 2 weeks of Timelock ends without any executive consensus, the proposal is automatically expired, in which case the DAO participants will begin their discussions again in Discord and bring the proposal back. Yeah, okay, so here's another question. Do browsers work equally on PC and smartphones? Any preference of one over the other? Yeah, so this is a great question. I've just demonstrated everything on a desktop. Desktops have the most support for different browsers, right? So basically any browser that you can put a Web3 wallet extension in are going to work. So any Chromium-based browser would work, and Firefox works. I'm trying to think here. Opera, those all work. Where things get a little bit more complicated is on mobile, because it does work on mobile, but you would need to do it from the browser inside of your Web3 wallet. So for instance, the MetaMask mobile app has a browser built into it. You would need to access gov.kula.com through that. I don't want to, give too much away, but we are in active development of a better mobile experience coming soon. So keep an eye out for that, because it's going to be a lot easier to access our app on mobile in the first quarter here. But for now, if you're on mobile, you're going to want to be using the MetaMask browser. I know Rabby has one too. I know a few people who use Rabby. I think that Coinbase might have one. I'm not totally sure there, but you basically need to open it in a browser in your wallet on your phone. But yeah, that's a great question. Okay, I'm getting another one here. What happens after a proposal is executed? Yeah, so it really depends on the proposal. All right, so there's a couple different kinds of proposals. There are proposals that, when executed, will do some on-chain interactions. So a good example of that is in the governance app. Eventually, we passed a proposal a few months ago to update the quorum to 5%. This was a proposal that had a function encoded inside of it. And what that means is as soon as it executes, something happens on chain. So when this proposal executed right here, it was executed on chain, and the quorum instantly changed. You can tell it changed because this UI component right here, it used to be, quorum used to be like that, but now it's not anymore. So that's one that had an on-chain execution. Some of them are representations of work done in the real world. So this marketing initiative passed, and there was some documentation associated with it. And when it was executed, that was the green light for the marketing team to release those funds to be used for that initiative. Yeah, so really depending on the proposal, it'll do something else. Here's another one where we updated the voting delay to 3 days. When that one passed, instantly the voting delay changed for the DAO, and that happened on chain. And you can, view the details for that on chain to see everything that happened. But yeah, that's a good question. All right, how do I create a proposal, and what happens with my proposal once it's made? Okay, that's a great question. Let's just make a proposal. So this is on our AMA DAO, which is our test DAO. And I'm going to create a proposal. So you would do that. You're voting, you just hit create. So we'll create a proposal. All right, so in the real world, you'd want to have a very well thought out proposal here, because you're having discussions with people on Discord talking about, the details of your proposal. So by the time you get to this point where you're creating a proposal, you have a good idea of what you're trying to accomplish, right? So you would get all those details in there, submit. And once a proposal is created, you're not going to see it right away. You're not going to see it in your account. You're not going to see it in voting. Because what happens is it needs to be reviewed by the executives before it becomes public. This is a guard we have in place to prevent, spam from happening. And then from then on, you would have 3 days until voting opens, and then 3 days of voting. Okay. I got another question here. How can community members contribute beyond just voting? Where do the discussions around proposals happen? Yeah, so that's great. That all happens on Discord. If you go home and join the discussion on Discord, from there, you will get an invitation to join the Kula DAO Discord. And from there, there's threads created for individual proposals. So we can talk about, what we want to do, all that sort of thing. There's a thread for, app help if you're having issues, that sort of thing. That's all found there. So yeah, good question. That doesn't happen in the app. It happens separately in Discord, all the discussions. Okay, from a dev perspective, what makes you most excited about where Kula governance is heading over the next 6 to 12 months? Yeah, so from a dev perspective, there's a lot of really cool improvements coming to the app over the next few months here. We're working on a better mobile experience, which is really big. We're working on a better wallet management experience to help users manage their keys and all that stuff in a more secure and flexible way. So like from the user experience side of things, like there's a lot of really exciting features that are coming out soon. And bigger picture, like I'm really excited about our partnership with NZ we have going on. We have Boda drivers, which those are like the motorcycle drivers who work with NZ, using our app right now out in the real world. So they're test piloting real world governance, like where it really matters, boots on the ground. These are people in these communities who see how their community can be improved through governance, and they're taking full advantage of the technology in a lot of really amazing ways. This is just a test pilot with, a handful of drivers out there, and they're very excited about it, and they're doing a lot of amazing things. And it just gets me more and more excited about how future regional DAOs and communities are going to take advantage of this. So yeah, that's kind of bigger picture what I'm most excited about coming up. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on in the real world. We've got how will I get notified if my proposal is approved or declined? That's a really good question. Right now, we are working on some notification systems in place. We have currently, you have the ability to subscribe to email notifications on proposals, which, let me see. I think that might be feature flagged out right now, but yeah, right now you can subscribe to email updates where you'll get emailed when proposals go live, so you can keep track of that. But we're going to be improving that experience a lot more in the coming months here as we're implementing some better notification systems so you can stay up to date with how things are going. Yeah, so to answer your question right now, it's just email, but we're looking at some other options as well for notifications. All right, I think that is about it. And again, like if there's anything that we didn't cover today that y'all want to know about, feel free to reach out through email. Feel free to send us a message on Discord. Our admins are always super happy to help with any issues y'all might be running into. Yeah, and so at the end of the day, you don't need to be an expert on all this stuff overnight. It takes time using the app, figuring out the features, figuring out what all is possible. But once you have the basics, that's there's nothing stopping you from taking part in this awesome governance thing. And again, what's really unique about Kula is we have 24-hour admin help. So anytime you need anything, hit up Discord and someone will be available to give you a hand. A real person, not an AI agent, but like a real super nice, awesome person. I love our admins. So yeah, that being said, thank you guys for joining. And we will see you on Discord.